Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to solve the LeetCode problem 180, which says consecutive numbers, and this is of medium difficulty. We are given a table called logs, and it has a couple of columns. The first column is ID, and it is of integer data type, and then we have num, which is varchar. They have given that ID is the primary key for this table, and it is an auto increment column. And we are asked to write a SQL query to find all the numbers that appear at least 3 times consecutively. This consecutively is a very important word here, and we can return the result in any order, so the order doesn't matter. And let's jump into an example that's shown here. So we are given a logs table which contains these two columns, ID and num. This ID is an auto increment column, and it is also a primary key. So we have 1, 2, 3 up to 7. And then here in num we have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, right? And in the output it's shown that the consecutive nums is 1. This is because if you see here, we have 1 in the first row, and again we have 1 in the second row, and then we have 1 in the third row, right? So here this 1 is repeating 3 times consecutively. But if you see this 2, it's appearing here for only one time, and this 1 is appearing only for one time, and then we have 2 here for a couple of times, but we are asked to return only 3 consecutive numbers, right? So in that case, the output for this table should be 1. So that is the output that's also shown here. Now we as humans, how do we solve this? So we'll first see this first number, and then we'll jump and see whether the same number is repeating again, and then we'll see again the same number is repeating. If there are 3 times the same number is repeating, then we'll go ahead and say that this is consecutive, right? So we'll apply the same logics in SQL. But for this, we should be aware of window functions. But don't worry if you're not aware of window functions. I'll explain that to you as we go through this video and solve this problem. Alright, now we are given this table here. Now what I'm trying to do is, we'll create 2 different columns here in addition to the columns that are given, ID and num. I'll create a column called lead1, right? So in this lead1, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just pick the row that's next to the current row. Here we have 1 under num, so the next value in num is 1, right? So the lead means the next value. So here we have 1, and the next value to this 1 is again 1, right? And the next value to 1 here is 2, so I'll write 2 here. Similarly here we'll have 1, and here we have 2, and here we have 2, and here after 2 this is the last row, so there is no other values after this, so this should be null. Okay, this is done, and now we'll create a new column again, which says lead2. We are going to pick the second consecutive number, right? For example, here we have 1, and the next number is 1, but we are going to pick the second next number, so this is going to be 1 here. So this is 1, and here for this 1, the second next number is 2, so I'll write 2 here. So similarly for this 1, the second next number is 1, and in this case the second next number is for this 2 is 2, and here in this 1 the second next number is 2. Okay, and here we have 2, the second next number is, we don't have any second next number because this is one number before the last number, so the second next number is going to be null. And in this case here it is already the last value in this column, so there is no second next value for this, and this is also going to be null. Okay, now that we have got the ID column, the num column, the lead1 and the lead2, the logic now that we are going to focus on is, if this num is equal to lead1 and if this num is also equal to lead2, then it forms 3 consecutive numbers. For example, here we have 1, and the next value to this 1 is 1, and the next value to this num is also 1, right? The second next number is also 1. So in this case we have 3 consecutive ones which satisfies our condition. But if you see here, this next number is 1, but the next to next number is 2. In this case it doesn't form a consecutive pair of the similar numbers. So now it is easy for us to solve. We just need to make sure whether the num is equal to the first lead one and the num is equal to the lead 2. If this condition is satisfied, then we can say that these three numbers are in the same consecutive order, and we can also output the same number. Okay, now that we understood the logic behind this, now let us go ahead and try to code this with SQL. Now we are going to take this from the logs table. So from logs, what we are going to do, we are going to select, right? So we are going to select, I would choose all these numbers from here, ID and num. So all these, I need all the columns from the input table. So I'll write star. Basically star indicates all, which everyone knows. And we are going to pick the first next number, right? The lead one. So in order to do that, there is something called a lead function within SQL. So lead, which column do you want to apply the lead, right? We are going to apply the lead on the num column. And how many leads do you want? We are going to lead by one number, right? Because this is lead one, we're just going to pick the second number. I mean the next number. So this is going to be 1. And since we are using window functions, we should use this over clause. And how we are going to order this by? This is going to be ordered by the ID, right? Because this ID is an auto increment column and it is going to be the primary key. So with this order only, we can find whether the numbers are consecutive or not. So in order to find whether the numbers are consecutive or not, we need to order by the ID column. So I'll write over order by, and then we can write ID. Cool. And we'll alias this as lead one. I'll write lead one. And after that, we are going to add another column called lead 2. So this is going to be the same. I'm going to write lead. And which column are we going to lead upon? This is going to be the num column. So num, and this time instead of picking up the next number, we are going to pick up the next to next number, right? So we are going to jump 2 places. Since we are jumping 2 places, I'm writing 2 here, and then again I'll write over, and this is also going to be ordered by ID, and I'm aliasing this as lead underscore 2. Right, now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 columns now. I'll run this code. This is going to obviously fail, but I'm going to show you how our output looks like. Oops. Okay, let me get rid of this table. I'll just comment this table out. Got it. Now let me run this code. Okay, now it shows wrong answer, which is expected. And now you can see we have 4 columns: ID, num, lead 1 and lead 2. And this is the ID column, this is the num column, and then we have lead 1 and then we have lead 2. Similarly, we have all the other columns. Now that we got this this query, we'll save this query in a common table expression, and from the common table expression we'll write a condition so that num is equal to lead 1, and if the num is equal to lead 2, then we'll return that number as the consecutive number. So in order to save this as a common table expression, it's very easy. So you need to type with the CTE stands for common table expression. Basically you can give any name to this table, but I'll stick on to common table expression as CTE. And you need to enclose this query within brackets so that it's saved in this common table expression. Now we are going to query the common table expression. So from CTE we are going to give a condition, that is where num equal to lead 1, which is our column, and we'll also have num equal to lead 2. So if both of these conditions are true, then we are going to return the num column. So I'll write num here, and there may be duplicates, so in order to avoid that, I'll write distinct here. So select distinct num as they have mentioned here as consecutive nums. I'll just copy and I'll paste it here. I think the query is pretty much done here. Let us now run this query and see whether the answer is accepted. Yes, this answer is accepted now. I'll go ahead and submit to see whether this passes all the test cases. And yes, this passes all the test cases. It's success. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you soon in another video. Thanks for watching.